Let's do one more word with Ontario's new Minister of Education, Liz Sandals, who's the Liberal MPP for Guelph. I want to take you back to what I presume was the night of February the 10th. In other words, the day before the swearing in of the new cabinet. At some point that evening, I guess your phone rang?
My phone rang, actually in the afternoon.
In the afternoon. Who was on the phone?
Kathleen, who at that point I guess hadn't actually been sworn in as Premier. I'm struggling with Kathleen and I have worked together for so long that I'm struggling with Premier Wynne. Premier Wynne was on the phone.
She was only Premier designate at that point.
She was Premier
designate. She wasn't
designate.
the Premier. What'd she say to you?
She said that she would like me to be the Minister of Education.
And given all of the foofara happening in education these days, were you tempted for a moment to say, have you got anything else in there for me that I might enjoy a little better?
Actually, no. I mean, education has been my passion. I spent 15 years on a school board. Part of that time, I was the president of all the public school boards, very much involved with what was going on at the Ministry of Education when I was the president of the Public School Boards Association. So, and then, of course, I was Premier Wynne's parliamentary assistant all the time she was Minister of Education. So an area that I'm really excited about, and another opportunity to work with Premier Wynne, albeit in different roles, with her as Premier and me as Minister, but absolutely no hesitation.
When you're in private conversation with her, do you still call her Kathleen?
Yes, I must admit I do.
But in public, she's Premier?
In public, she's Premier.
Gotcha. I wonder whether there is any... You know, it's often said that when you get that job that the Premier used to have, it's got some potential for tension. Because she's been one of the more successful education ministers in Ontario history and obviously has a view as to what's important and how the job should be done. So I wonder if you worry at all about being big-footed in this job, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't, because, I mean, this was, to be perfectly honest with you, the Premier and I, during the leadership process, had talked about future directions for education and, you know, how do you address the labor things. And so we've been working together on education issues for a long time, and we actually do see quite closely eye to eye. So I have no concerns about that. I think we'll be quite well aligned in where the Premier wants to go and where I want to go, being the same place.
You supported her for the leadership of the party?
Did.
From early on?
Yes.
Okay. So did you know you were going to be Minister of Education if she won?
No. I supported her because I thought she was the best person for the job.
And never at any point said to her, I'll support you if?
No.
But you must have had a pretty good undertaking. I mean, given your background and given your close relationship, it was a pretty good bet that you were...
No, there was no... Actually, Premier Wynne didn't make promises to anybody about, if you support me, you can be this. The conversation we had was, I want to support you because I think I think you will make the best Premier. Gotcha.
Now, you went from backbencher to being responsible for a $20 billion ministry. That's quite a promotion. Was there ever any time that you thought to yourself, this is a pretty daunting job?
Well, there's a difference between thinking this is a daunting job, because it actually is. We've talked about some of the issues and the fact that, you know, this is going to be a tough job. It isn't going to be easy every day. I get that. But in terms of, you know, do I have the confidence that I think that I can do the job? Yes. Because I think I've got... I think I had the background so that when the first mic appeared in my face about 10 minutes after being sworn in, it's an area where I already know the turf.
That's true, but in your previous life, well, maybe I shouldn't assume this, but I don't think in your previous life you probably had hundreds of teachers show up on your front doorstep, you know, with signs burning you in effigy. I mean, that's possible that may happen in the next couple of years.
No, but I mean, I've dealt with labor strife before. I've done collective bargaining before. And remember, obviously it was a different dynamic, but during the Harris years, and as president of the Public School Boards Association, I was having to deal with the fact that the teachers were very unhappy and how to make sure that education in classrooms kept moving forward, even though you had this other political dynamic of a dysfunctional relationship with the Harris government. So a lot of the issues I'm dealing with them in a different capacity, but they're not issues that I haven't dealt with before.
Sure. Let me ask you one last thing, which is, given where the minority parliament is right now, you have no idea how long you're going to have this job, right?
That's absolutely true.
Theoretically, if the budget fails, you could have this job for a month or two, and that's it. Or, who knows what's going to happen in the fall. In which case, how much pressure do you feel right now to really hit the ground running and get some achievements soon, given that this may be a very short tenure in this portfolio for you?
I don't actually look at it at trying to figure out when is the government going to fall or can we survive. I look at the timelines being more the timelines of the education system. So we talked about the fact that realistically the collective agreement that's in place now will expire on August 31st, 2014. That means we need a new collective bargaining system. We need some of the preliminary discussions about how can we handle a tough economic time when we come to the next round. So I look on them as the deadlines being the deadlines of the rhythm of the education system.
But that's not the real deadline. The real deadlines,
no, I
of course,
understand
are
that,
political.
But you know what? If you spent your time looking over your shoulder at Tim Hudak and Andrea Horvath, I'd just drive myself nuts. So instead of looking over my shoulder at those two, I'd rather keep my eye on the ball and look at, okay, how do we do the job that needs to be done? And, as I said, we've got issues around student performance for the First Nations, Métis kids. We've got issues around youth unemployment. We want to spend some time looking at math and science and technology teaching and how the kids are doing there. I've got a whole bunch of things that, that need my attention right now.
And maybe not very much time to do them.
And, what will happen, but somebody else is going to make that decision on whether or not to pull the plug. I'm not going to sit around worrying about them. I'm going to worry about what it is I'm here to do and concentrate on that.
It'd be a real pain in the neck for you, though, if you waited 10 years to get this job and then you're out of it in 3 months. Wouldn't you agree?
I think it'd be a pain in the neck for the province because they'll lose the opportunity to have a great premier.
Okay, I'm letting that one go. Thanks a lot, Liz Sandals.
Thank you.
Support Ontario's public television. Donate at tvo.org.